Hey guys, are you ready for today's August 19, 2020, 2:14 p.m. Central Time. So I've been asked two questions. The first one a couple times, what do you think about the Democrats' convention? And two, the second question is the right question everyone should have on their minds. And I don't understand how you wouldn't, based on what the Democrats have been doing during their convention. Which is, how are we supposed to understand the Biden campaign? Question mark. That's a good question. If you haven't read his Joe's vision, is what they call it, which are his policies, then you wouldn't know at all. Because the only two people in 2 days that have really spoken about policy are two socialists, Bernie Sanders and AOC. And some of the stuff AOC said, Biden supposedly doesn't support, is really far left. Even the concept of the ideology of how she thinks about the United States, Biden, I don't see how Biden could ever support or whatever, because that's just not his personality either. So that's kind of frightening. They've been focusing on three things. And being a political junkie, it's very obvious now. Even a few years ago when I've been in politics very heavily, obviously, for the last 8 years. But I would sometimes miss what these politicians' underlying meanings were. Because either one, I wasn't deep into what that person was talking about or whatever was going on, or it just wasn't obvious. Now that I'm a political junkie, that's what I call myself, because it is nuts. It's not even just a nerd. Every time a politician speaks, it is very obvious what they are fucking meaning. And it's ridiculous. It's always something ugly to it, regardless of the aisle that they sit on. So the Democrats' convention, the three things they've been focusing on, they have focus grouped to death. That's obvious. They have focused on COVID-19, how bad Trump is in general, as well as his response to COVID, and how awesome, empathetic Biden is. And I'll say this right now. Michelle Obama and Jill Biden using his tragedies of losing his wife, his daughter, and his son for political purposes, I think is kind of disgusting. And I'm going to go into who's going to be speaking today, day 3, and at the end of this video. But I really think it is disgusting. Michelle Obama said, and this plays into Biden's empathy, he understands people. He knows the working Joe type of situation. She said he's lost his wife, his daughter, and his son. He knows what it's like to sit at a table with a chair that is empty. That's literally what she said. And it's like, wow. I get where you're headed with this, but wow. You couldn't figure out a different way to give him as an example. And it just continued the second day, which is really where it got gross. But the first day was very gloomy, okay? They had a bunch of people on, random people, not politicians, talking about their stories, how COVID has affected their families, meaning deaths, okay? They've had deaths in the family. And there was something that the Biden campaign, their war room, actually tweeted out during one of these things that was absolutely inappropriate. Oh my God. So inappropriate. There was a woman who had someone who passed away that was a Trump supporter. And Biden's war room literally put out a tweet that said that his only flaw was that he supported Trump. What? And anyway, so the COVID thing obviously is on the top of many, many polls versus the economy these days. But there's an underlying situation with COVID. The Democrats are desperate for the black community to come out and vote for them. They always are. Without the black community, they do not win elections. They lose every time. So COVID-19 has also affected the black community way more than anyone else. Very disproportionate here. I don't exactly understand why, but okay, that's how it is. So if you're black and you were watching the first night of the Democrats' convention, you could definitely sympathize and understand and connect to what these people were saying about the deaths that they went through in their family. And it probably tugged at a heartstring. Okay? And the Biden is empathetic, listens, understands, and all this stuff ties in to that concept of COVID because they say Trump doesn't. So they focus grouped this pretty well. The first night was pretty obvious. The second night, it was the same shit. They didn't talk about policy. The second night at least didn't have this horrible, gloomy, like what I said on Twitter was a psychologist, a soft-spoken psychologist asking you, how are you doing today? That's exactly how the first days went for the Democrats' convention. Second day, they had some interesting ways of doing stuff. Like, it doesn't matter. Like when they were going through all the states and they were giving out the delegate counts to basically Sanders and Biden. It was very creative what they did. But as far as policy, sticking to their message, they did very well. And I don't foresee this being necessarily a good strategy. I don't know who they focus grouped, but it doesn't seem like a great strategy for anyone who's an independent or a Republican that is defecting to the Democrat side because they don't like Trump, what he's done or his policies, or they don't like his personality. Okay? And they say Biden will bring back dignity to the Oval Office. Okay? There's a point where it's too much. That Biden is awesome, he's empathetic, he listens, he's a working Joe, and all this shit, and he's a moderate, he will help people and blah blah blah. You can only take so much of that trash. You really can't. By the end of the second night, it was like, wow, he's a punk. That's what he is. He is not a leader. He is a punk that doesn't know how to do anything. He just knows how to go around and listen to people's problems. He's not someone who will go around, listen to people's problems for an appropriate period of time rather than listen to many people's problems that definitely have repetitiveness to it and go back and fix it. Okay? That is not how he came off. He came off as someone who will sit around, like the Gramps he is, and listen to everybody's story and then him telling his own stories. Not someone who would go back to the Oval Office and be like, all right, how do we fix this? Didn't really come off that way. So they're painting Trump as the opposite of Biden, right? They can't say directly Biden would do something like that because that's the part Trump does, okay? Trump gets shit done. Whether you like him or not, he gets shit done. He doesn't do what Biden would do. He doesn't go around and listen to everybody's stories. He listens to a few stories, gets the problem, understands it, goes back to the Oval Office, and tries to fix it. Okay? So his empathy, as people are trying to say Biden has and Trump doesn't have, is on a lower meter, if you want to call it that. I would think you'd want someone to go fix your problem. That shows that you were empathetic to what you were hearing and you were listening. Okay? But hey, there's a lot of people out there that are dumb in general and wouldn't be like, oh, ha, yeah, that's a good point. So that's Deciphering the Democrats' Convention. Today, I think they may talk a little bit about policy based on the people they are bringing in. One, they're bringing in Gabby Gifford, and she's obviously going to talk about gun control. If she doesn't talk about gun control, that would be very odd to why they brought her in. Two, Pelosi. Pelosi's entire job is legislation and policies and enacting crap. I don't see how she could avoid it. 3, Elizabeth Warren is a speaker. She could easily avoid policy. 4, Hillary Clinton is a speaker tonight. She just tries to stay so relevant. It's so funny. And the Democrat Party has tried to stray away from her due to how she's been acting and stuff, but yet they bring her in for the Democrat convention as a primary speaker. And then Obama is speaking tonight. And he's not going to focus on any policy, that's for damn sure. He's going to down Trump, and he's going to say how awesome Biden was and how he accomplished shit. He's going to talk about his own record and attach it to Biden. That's what he's going to do. This is what we were able to accomplish during my administration. That's how he's going to attempt to rationalize things. But Kamala Harris is supposed to, quote unquote, accept the vice presidency position tonight. And if Kamala Harris does not come off the way I say, I think it will be a detriment to her, in my opinion. When she first accepted this position with Biden, she was her typical self, because I've been following Kamala for a while. Not deeply, but enough in the Senate. Seeing her in hearings on the Senate floor and everything else. And she is very much she is not an empathetic person. That's for sure. She's very direct. She says what's on her mind. Shit like that. She spoke pretty much trashing President Trump when she accepted this nomination. And she also trashed him in ways that were false. Okay? Biden has done the same thing. Michelle Obama, wow. To talk about separating children and putting them in cages when your husband was the one who actually built those cages and enacted that policy, wow, you got some balls, bitch. Because that's crazy. And that's the thing, is everybody's like, oh, Trump has a horrible policy towards the border and all this stupid shit. And he's detaining people, separating families, meow, meow, meow. Well, all that stuff started under Obama. And the thing is like, if it didn't start under Obama, had it not existed under Obama, had those cages and those facilities not existed and been built under Obama, it is very high probability this would have gone down different in the Trump administration, because all he did was continue those policies. Okay? That's all he did. And then he altered some stuff and got rid of catch and release. So, which was Obama's first stance, okay, until it was controversial, and then he created catch and release. So that was some ballsy shit right there that Michelle Obama pulled. Regardless, if Kamala Harris comes off that way, the way she did when she accepted the nomination with Biden, I think it will be a detriment. What she needs to do is reintroduce herself, because nobody knows shit about Kamala Harris other than what she came off during her campaign. She got less than 2% interest support in her campaign. And he picks her for vice president, right? And she told him off too during a debate, during I think both debates or all debates that she was in. She dropped out early, all that shit. So not many people know much about Kamala Harris. They just hear snippets of stuff. She needs to come out and introduce herself. She used to be kind of a moderate, quote unquote, but she's far from it now. She's very left. And if she wants to portray herself as a moderate, fine. But tell people what you're about. Maybe start with that. And then 2, don't come off as a complete asshole. Because you are trying to, everyone, don't come off as a complete asshole. You guys are attempting to not just get your base pumped up, but you're trying to steal away independents and anti-Trump Republicans who originally voted for Trump. And if you continue to act like a bunch of children and say stupid shit and go over the top with criticizing Trump, you are going to lose attention of those people. They're going to turn you off and tune you out. So Kamala Harris has to come off in a totally different tone tonight. And if she doesn't do what I said, I think it will be not only a detriment, but it will show she's incapable of being the empathetic other side that Biden needs, because he needs to have a running mate that is very similar to his style. She's a female. She needs to have that come off that way anyway, to engage other females too. Because if you come off as a ballsy, say what you want on your mind, asshole, you're vindictive, and you are just mean, because she is mean. She really is mean, actually. She's done some shit in some of these hearings. She's called the Border Patrol KKK. She, during the Kavanaugh hearings, she led the anti-Kavanaugh movement. She was very mean to him, very evil. And just in the other footage I've put up, she's not a kind person. And she needs to portray that tonight. If she does not come off as having a kind heart, she's screwed. She's screwed. People will have a certain idea of her and concept of her that may be totally incorrect, okay, by lying that she is a nice person. If she doesn't come off that way, we'll see how she comes off and see how much policy they talk about tonight. Pelosi and Gifford are definitely the people that would be talking about policy. Anyone else is just going to continue the same rhetoric that have gone on for the last 2 days. So I'm not sure who the speakers are or anything for the fourth day, but we'll see. This is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great day.